Welcome to the Encore Audio Archives YouTube channel. I'm Taper Dave, and this is my channel. I've uploaded hundreds of talks here that I've recorded at meetings in West LA, and I've also recorded conventions starting in 2013. I've got a bunch of those up. And Walt and Mary Murray, the original owners of Encore Audio Archives, started the company in the 80s, and Walt recorded Joe and Charlie's and a bunch of stuff down in Vista, California. My sobriety date is June 20th of 1994. I hope you find something you like, so please like and subscribe to my channel and comment down below. If you want to hear something that I don't have or that you don't see, I'll see that I get it. Anyways, take care and have a great day if you want to.
Hi everybody, my name is John Keefe. I'm an alcoholic. Well, what a great group, and piano playing and everything. It would be, I thought, man, it'd be easy to stay sober in this group. Instead of all those ungrateful people that I hang around with all the time. But, you know, anyway, this sort of, anybody ever said this is sort of like being in a police lineup with that, I keep thinking someone's going to say turn to the side, and that's going to, but anyway, congratulations to the chip person and to the August birthdays. August is a big month in my home group, and why I don't know. I never have figured that one out. February and March. February and August are the two big ones. And seems like the August birthday just go on forever, because I go to a meeting every night, and some of the meetings actually will start celebrating the August birthdays in the middle of the month. So after a while, I just I'm not too crazy about August. That's what I'm trying to say. But anyway, it's it don't really make any difference. Just thank God that we got here and that we found one another. You know, I felt real comfortable coming out here. Thank God for this map that Mike gave me, because it's a good map, except that I got to thinking that I was coming from the south, and I was coming from the north, and you wouldn't have had me up here if I hadn't finally realized that I'm coming from the north. But anyway, I was on the 57 freeway to the 60 to the 10 to the 405, and it went just slick as all get out. But I tell you what, I would warn anybody from here that has ever asked to speak out there, Chino or Pomona or Ontario, don't do it, because either that or start at least a day early, because boy, I tell you, it was rough out there. What was someone said, a bumper sticker I seen one the other day says, "Go ahead and honk again, I'm reloading." You know, I understand that kind of thinking. It's just I only had you know, I didn't drink a long time. I was and I got to AA when I was 25 years old, and I was really tired. I was pooped, and I was still thirsty though, and I was gonna keep doing it. You know, if you people hadn't managed to, you might say, save me, because I had a program before I got to AA. It was called "Take Something, You'll Feel Better," and I would just I go to people's homes, go in the bathroom, look in the medicine cabinet, see what was on tap for that night, you know. And if it said take one every 4 hours for pain, that's when I ripped off, you know. I had a lot of pain that I didn't know about. In fact, I used to anticipate pain. I used to head off pain before it ever got to me, you know. Well, you know what? The bad thing about the cure-all for my problems eventually become the poison. I was the guy laying face down yelling, "Let's get high." I actually was not going anyplace anymore. You know, this stuff wasn't working at all. I heard some guy the other night say he was dancing good till someone stepped on his hands. And you know, I had become that way. I'd become horizontal. I didn't drink a long time. I was got to AA, and everybody in AA had drank for 40 years and stole locomotives, that kind of story. And they were pure alcoholics. They suffered boozeitis. And I was an impure alcoholic. I had taken some side trips, and I couldn't share. And I think that is what happened here tonight already, and what's always going to happen, and it's going to happen after I'm gone. And that is, it's just one drunk talking to another. What a beautiful deal that's happening. It happened here tonight. It happens every time one drunk manages to tell the other one, "I know how you feel." I imagine, I wasn't there, but I imagine that Bill Wilson probably said that to Dr. Bob. I understand that Dr. Bob was coming off of a drunk, and I imagine Bill Wilson said, "I know how you feel." And that's so important. You know, I never did go into a bar and sit down next to somebody and say, "Today I'm feeling a lot of fear," you know, or go to church and tell the guy next to you that you're a user, a boozer, and a loser, you know. It ain't gonna work. But you know what? If I tell you that, if I tell you, you know, I'm really a loser, you people would say, yeah, okay. But we're a bigger loser than you. You know, you never can top anybody in AA. But I couldn't share. I've seen, well, I was at a meeting in Fullerton. I was St. Jude's Hospital in Fullerton. And I was going to be the speaker, and the room was divided with one of those accordion-like walls. And I asked the secretary, I said, "What's happening on the other side of the wall?" Because I could hear a lot of talking. And I thought it was being an Al-Anon meeting. And this is a hospital too, by the way. And he said, "They're having a wine tasters convention next to the AA meeting at a hospital." And that interested me because I used to hang around with wine tasters. So in fact, we tasted anything, to be honest with you. But I went and peeked in at coffee break time or something, but I did look at these wine tasters, and you'd probably be surprised too. These people were all sitting upright in their chairs. There wasn't anybody taking a snooze. I didn't see, no one had wet their pants. The women weren't lighting their cigarettes in the middle. I didn't, and 80 people in there, and I didn't see one single chokehold. So and I didn't hear that famous, "I'll kill you, you dirty," you know, I didn't hear that. And I was really surprised, you know, because they're drinking out of the smallest glasses I ever seen in my life. And they were talking, and I couldn't make out what they were saying. Probably when they was talking about when they had the red wine with the green fish, or the green fish with the pink wine. I don't know, you know. I never was a gourmet eater when I drank. I was sort of low budget. I was maybe if I was holding strong, I might buy a bag of bear nuts or something. But I was basically wasn't interested in eating. I made up for that after I got sober, though, but because I postponed a lot of meals. I had to learn to share. It was hard. I felt like the mascot in that meeting. The men that were in that meeting, their children were my age. I was so embarrassed, and I just felt so really bad that I was 25 years old, and I was shot, and still thirsty. And you know what? These people were so kind to me, you can't believe it. But I couldn't receive their kindness. I was too thirsty. All I could think about is I got to get away from these people. But I was sort of backed into a corner. And I was like the cornered rat variety of alcoholic. I didn't come in AA looking for anything. I was just hurting, and I didn't really want to be sober. I just wanted to be loaded. And of course, if you hang around with these people, you're not going to find anybody that'll throw in with you. And so I had to keep coming back. I kept getting drunk again and again. And I had a lot of, I run some stuff by you that happens to probably everybody. And that don't make you alcoholic. I don't know why I'm even telling you about it. The thing that makes me different from the average neurotic person is that I drink when I have a lot of pain. My idea of taking care of my pain is drinking. And I don't know what they do. Maybe they don't do anything for it. But I was born to an Irish Catholic family. And they did a lot of drinking. Everybody drank. The men drank more than the women, but they still all drank. And I was just really a spooked out kid right from the beginning. I had something happen, and I always blamed it why I was so goofy. My mom was going up to Tehachapi, and I was in the back of a car, and I have a brother and I had 3 sisters. And but I was the only child in the car, and I asked my mother, she had driven her friend's car who was sitting next to her, if I can open up the window. And she said, "Don't open up the window, it's too windy." And I said, "I want to open up the window." She said, "Don't open up the damn window." And I knew how far she could reach because she was driving. So I sat back as far as I could to duck that haymaker, and I opened up the window, but it wasn't the window, it was the door. And when the wind caught the door, it become airborne, I become airborne. And my mom heard the roar, and her friend sitting next to her said, "Oh my God." And my mom knew what had happened because I was a screw up as a kid, and so as an adult too, you know. And so she couldn't look back. She knew that she'd just see a little spot out on the highway, and she pulled over and started to sob. She couldn't look back, and her friend said, "Don't cry, here comes that little bastard running like hell." I actually thought they were leaving me. I was running like hell, and I'd hit that ground so hard that my shoes were still back there, laced up, high-top shoes, laced up, and it poked in the back of my head, and so I knew that's what made me goofy after that, and I just had to I was always trying to keep people from finding out that I was goofy. I always fit in wherever I tried to fit in, you know. I used to, towards the end of my drinking, not towards the end, but somewhere in the middle there, I hung around with these guys that were chest beaters, you know, the macho guys. And we was always talking about smashing some guy's face to a pulp. Or, hey, let's go out and make love to a whole bunch of women. We never did any of them things, but we was always getting ready in case we got a chance, you know. But I could play that goody two-shoes, praise the Lord, and, you know, I could, yeah, I found my salvation, blah, blah, blah. I've always, whatever you wanted me to be, I was. I ended up pleasing nobody, including myself. I had, but anyway, I hadn't drank yet. And then I had something else happen. I would say that would probably give me, I had nightmares after that, and I had the distinction in my family of being the bedwetter. Boy, that makes you feel like a champ. I was 5 kids, and I was always being called up on the carpet. Why do you do that? I didn't have the foggiest, you know. Nightmares, I had a lot of nightmares. So I was goofy. And I got, I know why I felt better when I was drunk, but I just didn't have to be fearful anymore. But I had another thing, I had a lot of guilt. And where it came from, I don't know, but I was a guilty person. And I got to watch it every once in a while. I still take responsibility for maybe a volcano or an earthquake happening, you know. Has something to do with me somehow, I don't know how. But I was to make my first Holy Communion. This is a big day for a Catholic. I'd reached they told me I'd reached the use of reason, whatever that means. And I studied the catechism. I knew all the answers. I was a smart-ass kid. And so on that particular Sunday morning, my dad was hungover. My dad drank every day, but Sunday morning he wouldn't drink because we went to Mass. And my dad was a nice drunk. You know, he whistled, he sang, and he'd get violent with other people, but never with us kids. And but anyway, on that particular Sunday morning, my mom was really chawing into him. And I don't know what he had done, but it must have been something bad. And he wasn't saying anything, just looking straight ahead, and he got us to church. But on the way to church, I don't know, I reached down alongside the seat, and I found a peanut, and I ate it. No big deal, it was a big deal. They've been telling me for months, don't eat anything solid from midnight on. You know, you're supposed to fast. So, the minute I ate that peanut, I thought, hey, what am I going to do now? You know, what to do, what to do, what to do. You know, I was not about to tell my dad or my mom. My mom probably wouldn't have given a damn. But I wasn't about to tell my dad because we got caught up a lot in this pride, a lot of pride, you know. And I guess it would have been all right if I told him, I guess. It'd been all right if I told a priest, you know, it'd been all right. But just like I've done my whole life, I buried it. I buried it. I'm not telling anybody, you know. And so when I received the sacrament, some of you know, if you're Catholic, I committed a mortal sin. That's as high as you can go in the Catholic Church, in mortal sin. And according to catechism, mortal sins was things like murder, rape, and adultery. I was 6 years old. I'd already hit the big time. You know, I didn't even know. So I never told anybody about that peanut till I got to AA. You know, I never found anybody I could trust. You know, and then when I told you about the peanut, you shared back with me. That's the beautiful thing about this program. A little Mexican girl told me she ate a tamale before communion. And then there was some guy over in this area said that he had a jelly bean on Easter Sunday. I never sunk that low. No way. But anyway, don't laugh. A lot of you Catholics had hot dogs on Friday. You know who you are. I'm not going to point you out. What a beautiful program, isn't it? What a beautiful program. And we can look another person in the eyes and just tell them, you know, God, I'm really a screw-up, you know. And this happened and that happened, and no big deal. In here, it's no big deal, you know. We made the lifeboat. The book talks about the lifeboat. And all they ask you to do once you get in the lifeboat is grab an oar and start rowing. And maybe try to pull somebody else out. I I sipped my dad's beer and everything, but I never got drunk or anything like that. I got drunk when I was 16. And my brother was a merchant seaman, and I was one of the birthday men here that talked about a cousin in Oklahoma. What blew that building down was something called ammonia nitrate. And I went down to Galveston, Texas, and I had seaman paper, but I couldn't get in the union. I couldn't get a job. I was only 16. I was just a little runt of a kid. And that particular year, a ship called the Grand Comte, a French ship, blew up. Texas City was the city. And it was loading ammonia nitrate, and they didn't understand that once it started to smolder and they put water to it, they created a bomb, tremendous bomb. They found one of the anchors 6 blocks into town. And this is on big ships. And then another ship went, and another ship went. 3 ships blew up. Well, needless to say, there was all kinds of job openings on the ships after that. And I got a ship. I went and got on a gasoline tanker. I mean, that thing was this hard to get anybody on there without putting a gun in his back. But at 16 years old, I didn't know any better. So I got on a ship, gasoline tanker, and become a salty sailor. And still fearful. And I started doing things that 16-year-old kids shouldn't be doing. And I drank I drank like the other guy did and got drunk like the other guy did. And we drank the cognacs in Europe and rums and through Panama and South America. And then I got into on the West Coast, and I changed my union, and I started sailing with Sailors Union, and then we started going just to Japan and Saudi Arabia and the Arabian. Anyway, to make a long story short, I started, there was no booze, and if you're ever in a Muslim country, if they got booze, they weren't selling it to us, but they had hashies. Well, they had tons of hashies. Those people would be better off drinking, believe me. Anyway, I started smoking a hubbly-bubbly pipe because I run around with these guys always saying, let's get high, you know, so we had to get high, you know, and I tell you one thing about smoking dope, you'd be a big jerk, you smoke dope, you're going to get cool. We got super cool. I started taking an avid interest in the music. Where'd that come from? I was buying record jam sessions, you know, the Lighthouse Cafe. Boy, we was really cool. And I started wearing dark glasses at nighttime. I remember that makes you cool. You bump into a lot of things, but and these guys I run around with was always saying, what's happening? I said, I don't know what's happening. No one knew what was happening, but we were super cool. I wasn't cool. I never learned how to roll a joint. I used to roll a joint, look like a Tootsie Pop. And once the end burned out, the charge would fall out on the floor. It's hard looking cool with the burning zigzag paper hanging out of your mouth, you know. Like, what's happening, you know. Never manicured my weed. It's always been a slob. I grab a handful of charge, wrap it up, fire it off, and consequently, I never had any eyebrows, you know. And my shirt always looked like I'd been leaning over a campfire. What's happening? I tell you what was happening. The stuff was starting to eat out the inside of my head. I was getting really, but you know what? I took everything that anybody gave me. I put a lot of poison in my body. And then, of course, if you're a weed head, you got to graduate up there with the big leaguers. And that is the self-righteous hypes. And so I become what they call needle jockey. And it seemed like then my life the clock must have fallen off the wall, because it seemed like for the next million years I was sick. I can't believe I did that to myself, but I did it. And it only lasted a little over 3 years. And one of the things that might have interrupted it was I was really loaded one morning, and I'd bought a new car in Massachusetts, and I brought it out here. And I was really loaded because I was going to go on a ship, and I was going to get on the ship, and I wasn't going to use it anymore. And I kept saying, if I could only not use it anymore, I'd be all right. But you know, I found out in AA that when you take away the chemicals from me, that's when I'm in trouble. You know, I need the program. The program has got to take care of me when I don't have a drug. But anyway, I hit a truck coming off Drum Island. Hit it head on almost, except he veered right at the last second, and he said in court later on that my head was resting on the steering wheel. I was taking a nap, and I ended up tearing out a set of duals. I went underneath the truck. I came back out again. I think his momentum just kicked me out again. Anyway, my car was only 2 foot tall, and I'm glad I was asleep. Something like that would have scared the hell out of me, you know. Anyway, I ended up over in the Harbor General Hospital in the amputee ward. Everybody in there. Everybody, there was about 17, sometime 18. I think it could hold 20. And we were all, merchant seamen is a ward of the federal government, and we were all somehow connected. Most of us merchant seamen. And it was a Marine hospital like. But anyway, everybody, hey nurse, what about my pain shot? Everybody had some pretty decent, had amputations, and I could understand. And I was lightweight. I'd lost some parts, but not like legs. Anyway, the guy, nurse would say, you can't have a pain shot. You just had one. Put out the cigarette and try to relax. And, well, I'm in desperate pain. Well, I don't give a damn. You're not getting a pain shot. Hey, nurse, what about my sleeping pill? She said, for God's sakes, it's only 9 in the morning. Yeah, but don't forget, you know. It was now, I was preoccupied. What had happened? It had already happened. The mental pain, physical pain. Are you hurting physically? Or mentally, are you telling yourself that you're hurting? You know, even today, I watch a program where they're showing some rare disease that 3 people in the world have. And before the program's over with, I got all the symptoms, you know. My problem is my eyes turn inward and I study myself all day. So anyway, first concentration on self. I got, anyway, I had some drinking to do, and if you ever use, then don't use. You know, you're never going to sleep again. I knew even after I died, I'd be wide awake for 2 weeks. I couldn't sleep. So I started to drink for sleep, and a half pint. And then the word went through my family. They were overjoyed. They thought I had returned to normal. That's what they said, because I drank like they did. I didn't drink like they did. I drank for sleep, which is wrong. Anytime I hear anybody say they got, like a guy says, I bowl better when I've drank 3 or 4 beers, is that they're really telling me that they got a chemical way of living. They got to do something with chemicals that God went and gave them in the first place. So I got sick. By taking more physical exercise, I guess my liver was so bad from putting all that poison in me. I drank daily, though. I married the unluckiest girl in the world. And I become abusive to her. And I'm not trying to whitewash myself, but every once in a while you read in the paper where a person drowning, his rescuer goes out to get him, and the drowning person drowns his rescuer. And it isn't that he hated the man or resented him. He was so fearful and so panicky, he pulled down the person that come to help him. And that's what I did. Everybody that tried to help me, they all tried to help me. And no one could fix me. Humpty Dumpty, I was broken. I couldn't be put back together again. I could not drink like they did. And yet I kept trying. The book says that we're physically and mentally different from our fellows. And I just could not buy that I can't drink like they do. I watch the TV, those chest-beating program. You get to thinking if you drank the right stuff, you'd learn how to rope a calf or something. And it was just all that macho stuff, chest beating, you know. And I believe a guy would be a big wimp if he couldn't drink. But you know what, the stuff was getting me real mellow towards the end, to where I was starting to get beat up real bad. My taking more physical exercise was crawling on my hands and knees in the bathroom doing chin-ups on the toilet bowl, yelling for Ralph, you know. And I'd do that for a couple hours, then lay on the bathroom floor. My wife would come in and look down at her hero. And she'd say, "Why do you do this to yourself?" And I never had a snappy answer for her. You know, why did I do that to myself? The insanity of alcoholism. You know, probably two of the things that were important to me, and I didn't realize it till years later, two of the things that were important to me in Alcoholics Anonymous was that I had a loving God. That was very important, because I never did believe that for a long time. And I didn't want to believe it. I just ran from the day I was a little child. I ran from the idea of God. And then the second one, which I think is the most important, is that my disease of alcoholism is a form of insanity. And I know a lot of people have trouble with that, but I didn't, because I knew I was goofy. But I wasn't goofy the way you people talked about it. I heard some of the early AA stories, and I listened. Anytime anybody talked about insanity, I listened, because I knew I was off-center. They said that they got drunk and they chased grandma around the house with a fire axe, or they got sloshed and took all their clothes off and did a hula at the church bazaar or something like that. But you know, that's not the insanity of alcoholism like I see it. If I left here tonight after talking to you people and I drank, every one of you people that heard me say, "That guy not in a Waldorf salad, he should never drink," you know. And everybody around me, my family, all the AAs around me would say, "He's got to be nuts. You know, look what booze did to him." And yet he's drinking. So what had happened? Well, the insanity had come back to visit me again. So far, you know, if I hear you people every night and I see you, I can keep that insanity at arm's length. They talked about the steps. You know, in the 12 and 12, I don't know if anybody digs into that, but I go to a meeting where we dig into it every Tuesday night. I said the 12 steps are a group of principles, spiritual in nature, which if practiced as a way of life, will relieve the obsession to drink and enable the sufferer to live usefully and happily. Oh, you know, that obsession was going to grind me up and spit me out. You know, when I drank every day, and I promised my wife, and she'd say, "If you loved me," and she'd give me a little girl, and I wanted to be good, and I didn't get into trouble other than drinking myself stupid every night, and so I didn't. I had run-ins with the police and everything, but it was just for being a common drunk. But I went to doctors. Won't somebody fix me? I had one doctor break out a hypodermic needle as big as a bicycle pump. And I thought, man, I'm going to fly when he hits me with that, you know. And it was B1, it was B12, one of the vitamins. I get a taste on the end of my tongue like cod liver oil. And then the lecture. You're a young man now. You can't keep doing this. You can't go through life on a pink cloud, whatever that meant. And but I was not talking to anybody like you heard here tonight. These people that you heard here tonight had the answer for me. But I talked to people in AA that were drinking, and but I knew I couldn't do it. I was the weakest of the weak. I used to give up candy for Lent, which is 40 days. 3 days into Lent, I'm knocking off a Baby Ruth candy bar. So I didn't have any power, no willpower. I was the weakest of the weak. I had one little sister. My sisters, I got sisters that are 9 years younger than me, and twins. And one of them said, "You absolutely have no character." which is probably true, but she don't feel that way now because she's got 12 years in the program. And but anyway, I better hurry up and get to 8 before I die up here. In the hospital, I was hospital finally, and in the hospital there was a guy that had been sober for 5 years, and they had taken out most of his stomach, and he had a tube in every hole in his body. He wasn't going anyplace. But anyway, the AAs come in every night to see him, and Kenny was his name, and he had 5 years, which was a lot of time at that time. And so Kenny would say, I'd send him over to my room, because I hallucinated in that hospital, and I'd gone through that hospital like a nut. And they finally got me some formaldehyde and got me to sleep a little bit, but I was goofy. And but anyway, I was a wild man. I should have been tied down like a dog, and I could have hurt somebody, and but they didn't. And I found out later on in a private hospital they can't put anybody in restraints. So I was laying there, and I had to be fed intravenously, and the AAs would come in every night, and they'd come in and stare at me, and I just laid there guilty, and they said, "Oh, we're alcoholic," and I said, "Oh, that's great. Anybody holding?" And they said, "No, we don't take anything anymore." I said, "Well, what about sleep?" And they said, "No one died from lack of sleep." Don't you hate answers like that? I died every night. I couldn't sleep. And then they said something else. They said, "We don't take anything anymore." We started to pray. I thought, oh man, here I am laying on my back. I can't go anyplace. And these people are going to come in here. And I didn't invite them in. And they're going to come in here, and we're going to talk about Jesus for a couple hours. And you know what? They didn't, though. They gave me pamphlets, and all they did was talk about how my life could be better, you know. And I didn't see how it could, because my program was take something, you'll feel better. I left the hospital. I took a prescription for tranquilizers. The doctor said they're non-habit for me. Yeah, right. I mean, I can make a habit out of anything if there's more than one of it, but I got to meetings, and I just tranquilized out of my gourd. I'd just sit in a chair and look off towards Australia like I seen something out there. And then they'd take me home, and I'd sit in the chair and watch the TV, the Indian test pattern the rest of the night. And that's the way it went. And my mother-in-law even said, "I'm so proud of you, what you're doing." I didn't know what I was doing, you know. I was eating them damn pills and going to meetings, and everybody in there was talking about serenity. That's all I heard, was people was saying, "Oh man, they're praying for serenity. Oh, serenity, beautiful serenity." Man, I had serenity to burn. I mean, I was so serene. I mean, if an arm had fallen off, I would have said, "Hell, I got another one. I could handle anything." But eventually I drank again and again, as you know, because when my program's going, I'm a dead duck. So eventually I lost a wife and a baby, and one day I lived with my mother. I tried to commit suicide, and eventually she kicked me out. She couldn't take it anymore, and the AAs, I think, had talked to her, said that I would eventually die in her back bedroom, which my older brother eventually did from a heroin overdose. So hit the road, Jack, and I'd been around the world, Panama, Singapore, all them tough towns, and I couldn't take care of myself. I was like a small child lost in a man's world. And I get beat up, and drinking sweet wine, and I get hit in the mouth, and I was a big guy, but as weak as a kid, and no eating, and went to jail, and walked out of jail one morning. It was March the 19th, 1957. And when the cops got ready to arrest me, I threw a bottle and some oleanders, and I knew I was going to get arrested for 504, drunk driving without a vehicle. And so when I got out, I found that bottle and I drank it. I drank some of it, but they told me that I shouldn't be drinking in San Bernardino County, so I walked towards Los Angeles County, and I was walking toward 2 people, and I didn't know it. I knew I had to go someplace for someone to take care of me. I couldn't take care of myself anymore. In fact, that's why I committed suicide that one night. Was my mom wouldn't put me in a mental institution. So, drank that drink and didn't drink anymore. Now, where was I going to get that kind of power? I never had it before, and I was only in jail a couple of days. I wasn't scared of that. I'd been in jail before. But you know what? For something I couldn't tell you, I wished I could bottle it. For some reason, I've become desperate. You know, desperation. I've become desperate. And I become desperate because I thought I was a bum. And I was. But I thought, when I was in front of the judge, I looked around and I says, "You're a bum. Look at you. You're 26 years old. You're a bum." And I walked out of there and I walked towards AA, and guess what? You people were waiting for me. It's one thing about it. You didn't go away. You waited. And you put your arms around me, and I didn't like that. And you didn't give a damn. And the one thing about AA is they do things that make them feel good, you know. And that made them feel good to put their arms around me. So they did it. And then they shared, and I listened, and I listened. And just like tonight, and just like many meetings I've been to, people share their lives with me. And when they do that, I get an idea of how it can be, and how it should be, and how maybe it can be. And so every morning, things that I learned in AA, I do. I read that little black book. I'm usually on the wrong day. Sometimes I'm 3 days behind, you know, but anyway. And I married the gal in AA, 32 years with that woman. And we're not getting along so good right now. But I feel all right, but when we have these explosions, sometimes it takes her a couple weeks to cool off. And I know that. I just wait her out. And pretty soon we'll be right back in tiptoeing through the tulips, you know. And I've got 8 grandkids. And you know, I'll tell you this, and then I'm going to sit down. My brother died at age 32. My dad was gone at 47. And I'm 64 years old. And I spent all of my life in AA, the only life that was really worth living, you might say. But I had this little pictures of my grandkids, and I have them in I got 2 or 3 little books that I read a little bit out of every morning. And all their pictures are in those books. And so when I open them up, I see their pictures. And here's 8 little faces that would not be here. It's sort of like that movie, you know. And those little faces would not be there because I would have never met their grandmother. And their grandmother would have never given me their mother. And so I got to be, I'm a man most blessed, is what I'm trying to say. You know, I've heard it said a lot of times, you know, when that obsession to drink was lifted, I know that I've heard that saying many times, free at last, good God Almighty, free at last. I've heard many times in an AA meeting, and I know the feeling. I know the feeling. The insanity of alcoholism, I know, can revisit me. Certain things I better do to keep it at arm's length. And I try to do that. You people asking me over here today, you did me one of the greatest favors you could do me, is to have me come over here and visit you. And I've always felt that way. I'm a spoiled brat. I still sometimes, drove 2.5 hours to get to a meeting, and I talked, I give my usual bombastic pitch, and it was like talking, I thought it was in an Amway meeting. Everybody was, it was like the wax museum, you know, and I got I got through, and then everybody got up and headed my way, and I thought, man, now I'm going to get the backslaps, the accolades, attaboys, all that. What it was, I was standing in front of 2 boxes full of bingo cards, and you know, they pushed me out of the way and grabbed their cards, and so I got out in the parking lot, and I heard some guy yelling B6 or something. I flipped off the whole group. I just, oh, what a spoiled brat, you know. I thought, hey, I drove too, but you know what? I had forgot. Like if I hadn't have found you tonight, or if I'd come late, the blessing started when I started getting ready to come over here. Everything started just feeling good, because I was doing something I was asked to do. And if I get to a meeting and the other speaker, some other speaker's there, hey, you know, I've received the blessing. I didn't have to get up there and get everybody hopelessly confused about the program when I talk. So, like I say, I'm a man most blessed. I'm a spoiled brat. I still have some real bad run-ins with adults. And I think I did it. I think I actually did it. I went from puberty to senility and never reached maturity. I think I did that. I heard it was possible. I did it. But anyway, glad to be here. And I want to, today, you know, I didn't have to line up in front of Jay's liquor store at 6 in the morning. God, that was a good feeling. I didn't have to sit in court and listen to the roll call, you know, listen for my name. And you know, I didn't have to give some moron some money to score for me. And so in my life, that's a miracle of Alcoholics Anonymous. Thank you.
Okay, this is how I prepare my drone for launching. I like to do it inside the cab of my truck so I'm not standing outside in the weather. To install the joysticks for control, up and down, right and left, powered on. I have an Android phone that I use to connect it to the drone with. And it's actually controlled through the iPhone, through an app. Oops, wrong way. It's actually controlled through the iPhone, or through this Android phone, through the app. It's actually controlled through the Android phone, through an app, and you connect it through this short connection right here.
Remote control connected.
Remote control's connected. So I pull out the drone. I have to extend the legs. Long legs extended first, then the short legs. Remove the gimbal protector. Set that aside, then power it on one short burst and one long burst. I lay it down. So I have to go to calibrate. So the drone's not connected yet. It shows you here as this drone gets disconnected, even though the remote's powered on. So the drone has to establish it's connected. So I go into the app to calibration mode. First I'll calibrate the remote controller. Start calibration. Out, in, oop, out, in, up, down, and then this little wheel is to control the gimbal. So it's calibrated. Go to gimbal calibration, start calibration, and then it calibrates the gimbal. I don't know if that shows up. The gimbal's moving all over the place. Changes, you can see it on the video. And I'm calibrated to take off. It's acquired 7 satellites at the moment. There are 26 satellites up in the sky, which it has to acquire before you can take off So it's connected. It's got enough satellites. This is white. I can go to press this little arrow button, swipe right to take off, and it would start the motors if I slid this to the right. But I'll wait till I get outside. Don't want to do it inside.